the reason we're having these meetings, I was so thrilled when the Alliance for American Manufacturing came to me and said, we want you to help us. Because I thought there was me, maybe a couple others, were voices crying in the wilderness. But now we're gathering mass. And we're going around the country where the presidential candidates are having their own town hall meetings. And we're saying to people like you, when you get into those town hall meetings, raise your hand and ask the questions. Because they'll be talking about, obviously they talk in terms of things they think you want to hear. So, but have them be specific. If they talk about the economy, what economy? You're letting all our manufacturing go overseas. Because when this factory leaves, my property taxes go up to offset the taxes that they were paying. Someone's got to pay for the police, the fire department, the parks department, the snowplow driver. It's not that factory anymore, the factory that made T-shirts or, tires. They're not there anymore. So now I got to pay the property taxes. I also have to pay higher federal taxes to pay for the welfare of the people I just put out of work because I got this cheap T-shirt down at the store, $3 cheaper. Oh boy, did I make a deal. You didn't make a deal. What you did is you put some more Americans out of work, all the taxes go up, and the thing's not going to last as long as something that's made here anyway. So that T-shirt is actually more expensive because also the pizza place goes. They relied on that industry or those industries. The tire shop, the hardware store, all those people that support your kids' Little League teams, they go under. And you're never going to see the name of a Chinese factory on your kid's Little League uniform. Not going to happen. So thank you. And then when they talk about national security, say, well, we're going to make sure national security. Say, well, wait a second. We have 15 months left of propellant for the Hellfire missile, and the Department of Defense is talking about giving that contract to China. Yeah. Well, they're talking about giving a contract to China of a circuit board that goes in the sonar buoys that detect enemy submarines. That's our Department of Defense. So our tax dollars are spent by our government to a country that's making armament for our own armed services. There are police departments here that have to wait 6 months for their ammunition to arrive because we don't make it in America anymore. So when they're talking about national defense, say that to them. Say, get specific. And if they shine you off, somebody else stand up. Say, you didn't answer that question. They asked you a specific question. What are you doing about national security? Why are we spending money overseas for things our own armed forces make? Can't we make them here? We used to make them here. Who are you saving money for? Not saving money for me. You're putting my life in jeopardy. Also, when you're talking about that, say, how come you don't help our industries, the federal government? And how come you don't make China stand up to the agreements? Now, China spends $52 billion to subsidize their steel industry. They can give steel away. So they'll undercut our prices all the time. And, well, it's like, the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco. They got those cables. It looks beautiful. You see it on postcards all the time. If we had to recable that, we'd have to use Chinese steel. We don't have the capacity in this country to recable the Golden Gate Bridge. And if we rebuilt the Twin Towers, we'd have to use foreign steel. Why? Because it's not an even playing field. Because our government refuses to stand up to the Chinese, because they got those Polaroids, remember, from the Christmas party, and make it a level playing field. Because you know, and I know, we have the best workers. We have the most pride in our products. You know that. Thank you. So they sold us on this service economy idea. And they said, okay, we're going to do customer service. Great, the customer service. But we all know all the customer service stuff is going overseas now anyway. You call the 800 number, you don't know where you're talking to. So wait a minute, I thought you said we're going to be a service economy. Well, maybe just for that. Oh, wait a minute. Now our tax refunds, our tax forms, our taxes are being done overseas now too. Not all of them, but some of your accountants electronically send your stuff overseas. There's somebody over there does all the accounting, sends it back, signs the name on it. Okay, there's your taxes done. Wait, I thought we were going to be a service economy. There's prototypes now of when you drive through the drive-through window, McDonald's or whatever it is, you're talking to a person in another country. And then electronically, they send it to that window that's 30 feet ahead of you because they can eliminate a job. So they're testing that out now. That's in some fast food restaurants around the country. They're already doing that. When you see these presidential candidates hold their feet to the fire, and we have to do this nationwide, we just have to keep hammering and hammering and hammering until they start answering the question. And talk to the reporters, talk to your TV reporters, whoever's going to be interviewing these people on television. Send them emails, cut out pieces from the paper, whatever you have to do, because it's up to us. Because they're not going to do it, otherwise they would have done it. But when they see a mass of people asking these questions, they're going to get real scared. Because if they knew the answers, or if they were paying attention, if there's a steady hand on the helm, we wouldn't be in this mess that we're in today. But anyway, so loss of common sense, obviously, equals the loss of manufacturing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be losing the manufacturing. And the loss of manufacturing means nothing less than the loss of our nation. That's where we're headed. We're going to lose this civilization because we're squeezing out our own middle class, and we're building the middle classes of other nations. We're giving them our equipment, our technology, our know-how, and we're giving them our money. We're giving money to buy these goods. The American government's giving them money to buy goods. What are they doing with it? Are they building clinics, hospitals, schools? No, they're not. They're arming their military. That's what they're doing. And they're also focusing on the interior military, the interior police. For instance, there are 30,000 people that sit over there watching the internet, monitoring the internet for any signs of the words like freedom, liberty. And those people get arrested and get thrown in jail. So that's what we're funding. Don't forget, they don't have a vote over there. So our government, our elected officials, need to step up, take a breath, because we think in terms of the next fiscal quarter and the next fiscal quarter. So we're thinking this far into the future. They think 50 years into the future. So we have to think in terms of, was it the seven generation rule? I think that's it. I think it was the Seneca Indians in upstate New York. Any decision they make, they have to be thinking of how it's going to affect 7 generations from now. And that's how our politicians should be thinking, because that short-term thinking, we may, head up, who knows, be a third world country. I don't think so because of who we are. But if all our jobs go overseas, what do we have? To highlight the importance of this issue, the Alliance for American Manufacturing is an amalgam of the steel workers and their employers. I mean, these two very powerful groups got together. They recognize that we're in deep trouble if we don't get manufacturing on an even footing with manufacturing overseas. So when the candidates, when you see them, question them, when you have access to them, write them letters, how will you save American jobs? It's time for us to be the squeaky wheel. There's a lot of special interest groups out there that get a lot more attention than us in manufacturing. And why is that? We have to start raising our voices and going up, to the presidential candidates and saying why. Just keep insisting. What's going on with our country?